The tickets sold out in 30 minutes. Not for the final, not for the semifinals, for a Wednesday night second-round match. 30 minutes. That's all it took for 10,000 seats to vanish into thin air. The demand was so overwhelming that tournament organizers had to move her match from the 2,800-seat grandstand to the 10,077-seat center court. And even that wasn't enough. Thousands of Filipino fans were left without tickets. They came from across Canada, from the United States, from all over the world. They came wearing Philippine flags, chanting her name, ready to turn Toronto into Alex Eala country. But for thousands of them, the doors were already closed. The stadium was full, and the mania was just beginning. When the National Bank Open announced that Alex Eala would play her second-round match on Wednesday night, nobody expected what happened next. Within 30 minutes, every available seat was gone. Carl Hale, the tournament director for the NBO, was stunned. "We've never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 have this type of effect," he said. "I think her fans were specifically waiting to see when she played." The demand was so intense that organizers were forced to make a decision. Eala's match was originally scheduled for the grandstand, a court with just 2,800 seats. But the ticket sales told a different story. She probably sold upwards of 5,000 tickets. Hale told the Tennis Channel. "We can't put her on there." So they moved her to center court, a stadium with a capacity of 10,077, the largest court in the tournament. Even that wasn't enough to accommodate all the fans who wanted to see her. A Tennis Canada spokesperson later revealed that approximately 3,100 tickets were sold for the session after Friday night's schedule announcement alone. By Sunday, every ticket was gone. It was a level of demand that tournament organizers had never seen before from a player outside the top 5. And it was a sign that the Eala effect had reached a level that nobody could have predicted. As the ticket sales numbers began to circulate, tennis analysts started making comparisons that seemed almost unbelievable. According to Tennis Connected, the Wednesday night session in Toronto had sold out because of Alex Eala, and they added a detail that left everyone speechless. "From reliable sources, I can tell you that only Serena has done that in the last 20 years. Not even Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, or Novak Djokovic have sold out an opening Wednesday night. Incredible." The comparison to Serena Williams, the 23-time Grand Slam champion and arguably the greatest player in tennis history, was staggering. Serena was a global icon, a cultural phenomenon, a player who transcended the sport. Eala, at 21 years old, was now being mentioned in the same breath. The sellout was proof that the Eala effect had reached a level that few players, male or female, had ever achieved. Eala had become more than a tennis player. She had become a movement. The tournament director for the DC Open had already seen this phenomenon. Mark Ein revealed that ticket sales for Eala's matches had risen by at least 80%, if not more. He added, "Honestly, I think it's more, and they just didn't want to say it was more, but they're virtually all. It's not an exaggeration. When you look at the amazing players here and how many great stars there are, it says something about Alex's following." The overwhelming demand for Eala's matches in Toronto was driven by one of the world's largest Filipino diasporas. The Greater Toronto Area is home to hundreds of thousands of Filipinos, and they had been waiting for this moment. Jason Maglante, the Senior Director of Ticket Sales and Services for Tennis Canada, a Torontonian of Filipino descent, watched the demand build in real time. "Speaking to my family and friends in the community, people started asking me about her. Is she coming? Can I know a little bit more about her?" he said. And these are people who don't even follow tennis. The excitement had been building for months. When the tournament announced on Friday that Eala would play in Toronto, Maglante's phone exploded with messages from friends and family. "We're pretty proud of anything that comes out of our country in the Philippines," he said. "The only thing I know of with this kind of hype among Filipinos in the sports realm would be the boxer Manny Pacquiao." The tournament organizers went all out to welcome the Filipino community. They scheduled Eala's match right after Canada's Leylah Fernandez, another player of Filipino descent, whose mother is Filipina. They added chicken adobo to the food offerings. They reached out to Filipino community groups and the consulate. Maglante projected that 8 out of 10 fans in the stadium on Wednesday night would be of Filipino heritage. It was a homecoming of epic proportions. Eala's Toronto debut was not just about the fans. It was about the tennis. She arrived in Canada fresh off the biggest win of her career, a stunning 4-6, 6-4, 6-0 victory over world number 3 Jessica Pegula in the DC Open final. The victory propelled her to a career-high ranking of world number 20, the highest ever achieved by a Filipino player. But there was no time to celebrate. She was scheduled to play on Wednesday night against American Alicia Parks, the very same player who had handed her a stinging 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 defeat at the Australian Open earlier this year. For Eala, it was the latest chapter in a revenge tour that had become the defining narrative of her season. She had already avenged losses to her last 6 opponents who had previously beaten her, and she hoped to keep that streak running. "My focus right now is to prep for the US Open," Eala said during her homecoming in Manila after Wimbledon. Some good tournaments. The Canadian Open was one of them. Despite the grueling turnaround, Eala had won the DC Open late Monday and was scheduled to play in Toronto on Wednesday night. She remained confident. "It's been an amazing 24 hours for me," she said in her pre-tournament press conference. Of course, so many emotions, so many things to process, and processing also the transition from one tournament to another. "So I'm really excited to reset and be here in Toronto for the first time." The Eala effect was on full display in Toronto. Thousands of Filipino fans had been left without tickets, but they came anyway, hoping to catch a glimpse of their hero. The atmosphere was electric, the support was overwhelming, and the tournament organizers were stunned by the response. "It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and they're enjoying tennis," Eala said. "Hopefully it will help grow the sport as well, and, in the end, give them something, a new experience and a joyful experience." The phenomenon had been building for months. At the Australian Open, queues had snaked around the stadium when Eala was scheduled to play. At the Middle Eastern swing, she had drawn massive crowds. At Wimbledon, she had defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek. And now, in Toronto, she was being compared to Serena Williams. The Eala effect had become a global movement, and it was only going to grow. Eala was also scheduled to play doubles with tennis legend Venus Williams, a reunion of their Bad Homburg partnership. The prospect of seeing the 21-year-old Filipina alongside the 46-year-old American legend was another draw for fans. But for thousands of them, the tickets had already sold out. They were left outside, waving Philippine flags, chanting her name, and waiting for the next opportunity to see their hero. 30 minutes. That's all it took for 10,000 seats to vanish. Thousands of Filipino fans were left without tickets, but they came anyway, wearing Philippine flags, chanting her name, turning Toronto into Alex Eala country. The mania had arrived. The Eala effect had reached a level that nobody could have predicted. To all my supporters, thank you guys. Especially the Filipino community. Here in DC and back home, wherever you are in the world. I really feel all the love. Those words now applied to an entire nation. The children who grew up watching her, dreaming of becoming like her. The fans who saw in her a reflection of their own struggles and triumphs. The nation that rallied behind her, united by a shared dream. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. Toronto had been stunned by Alex Eala Mania, and the world was watching to see what she would do next.